He was barely able to walk, yet he kept pushing that broken cart down the empty road. The wheels squeaked with every step, and his shirt was soaked in sweat under the burning afternoon sun. Cars passed by without even slowing down. Then, out of nowhere, a group of bikers rolled in, loud engines, black leather, tattoos. Everyone thought they'd just pass him by. But what they did next left everyone speechless. Before we start, make sure to subscribe for more true stories that restore faith in humanity. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change a life forever. The day started like any other in the small town of Cedar Falls, Texas. It was early afternoon, and the highway shimmered under the heat. Dust hung heavy in the air, and the smell of dry earth filled the wind. On that long stretch of road, an old man named Harold Jennings struggled to push his rusty wooden cart. The cart was small, patched together with old boards, nails, and wire. One wheel leaned inward, barely hanging on. Inside were bags of empty cans, plastic bottles, and pieces of scrap metal he'd collected since morning. For Harold, that cart was his lifeline, his only way to earn a few dollars a day. Harold was 78. His back was bent, his hands rough and scarred from years of labor. He'd worked at a local mill until it shut down 5 years ago. His wife, Mary, had passed away the year after, and his only son lived somewhere in another state, too far away to help. Now, Harold lived alone in a tiny trailer on the edge of town, scraping by however he could. As he walked, the cart suddenly jolted. The front wheel popped loose, spinning off and clattering into the ditch. The old man gasped and tried to grab it, but his knees gave out. He fell to one side, scraping his arm on the hot asphalt. The bags spilled open, cans rolling across the road. For a moment, Harold just sat there, sweat dripping from his forehead, breathing hard. Cars sped by, honking occasionally, but no one stopped. He tried to lift the cart again, but his hands trembled too much. And that's when the rumble of engines filled the air. Coming down the highway were 4 bikers, members of a local motorcycle group called Iron Faith Riders. Men known for their loud Harleys, leather vests, and big hearts hidden behind rough appearances. Leading them was Mike Beer Dalton, a towering man in his 40s with a beard that matched his nickname. Behind him rode Jesse, Ray, and Cole, all veterans who'd turned to riding as a form of therapy after leaving the service. They saw the old man from a distance. At first, Bear thought it was just another roadside peddler. But something about the scene, the broken cart, the man on his knees, and the way cars just kept flying by, made him slow down. Bear raised his hand and the group pulled over. "What's going on, brother?" Bear called out, stepping off his bike. Harold looked up, shielding his eyes from the sun. "Oh, nothing. Son, cart just broke on me again." "Don't worry about it. I'll manage." Bear crouched down beside him. "Doesn't look like it's gonna roll much farther." "You hurt?" "Just old bones," Harold said with a faint smile. "Ain't the first time this happened." The other bikers gathered around, watching quietly. Jesse, the youngest, noticed Harold's scraped arm and immediately pulled out a small first aid kit from his saddlebag. "Let me clean that up for you, sir," Jesse said. Harold waved him off weakly. "You don't need to trouble yourself, young man. I'm fine." Bear shook his head. "Nah, not today. You've been walking this road alone long enough." Without waiting for permission, the bikers got to work. Cole fetched the loose wheel, Ray inspected the damage, and Bear started tightening the bolts with a small wrench he kept on his bike. Within minutes, they had the cart back together, straighter and sturdier than before. Harold watched in silence, tears forming in his tired eyes. "You boys didn't have to do this," he said quietly. "Nobody ever stops anymore." Bear smiled. "Well, today somebody did." When the cart was fixed, Ray looked inside it and frowned. "This all you got today? Just enough for a couple of bucks?" Harold replied. "Recycling center pays by the pound. Won't make much, but it'll get me dinner." The bikers exchanged glances. Jesse stepped forward, pulling out his wallet. "Sir, how about we give you a little help?" Harold immediately shook his head. No, I can't take your money. I've managed my whole life." Bear put a hand on his shoulder. "It's not charity. Think of it as respect, for a man who still keeps going when the world gives up." Slowly, Harold nodded. The bikers handed him some cash, enough to fill his fridge for a month. But the moment wasn't over yet. As they were getting ready to leave, Bear noticed something odd. A photo frame tied to the side of the cart. Inside was a faded picture of a young woman and a little boy. "Your family?" he asked. Harold smiled faintly. That's my Mary and our son Billy. Haven't seen Billy in years. He moved out to California for work. I guess life got busy." The bikers fell silent. Bear could see the loneliness in Harold's eyes, the kind that came from more than age or poverty. Bear asked, "You got a phone?" Harold shook his head. "Nah, couldn't keep up with the bills. Don't need one much anyway." That gave Bear an idea. He walked back to his bike, pulled out his own phone and said, "Let's see if we can find him." At first, Harold protested. No, I don't want to bother him. He's got his own life." But Bear insisted. Sometimes people just need a reason to come home. They spent the next half hour searching online while Harold described what little he remembered. Billy's old job, the city he'd moved to. Finally, they found a match: William Jennings, San Diego, California. Bear wrote down the number, called it, and after a few rings, someone answered. "Hello. Hey there, is this William Jennings?" Bear asked.
"Yeah, who's this?"
"My name's Mike Dalton. I'm here in Texas with a man named Harold. Says he might be your father." There was a long silence. Then a trembling voice said, "My dad." "My God, is he okay?" Bear smiled at Harold, who was staring in disbelief. "He's okay. We found him pushing a broken cart down the road. Sounds like he's been missing you." Billy's voice cracked. "I thought he moved away. I've been trying to reach him for years." "Then it's time you came home," Bear said. A few days later, something extraordinary happened. A local news station picked up the story after a driver posted a video of the bikers helping Harold. Within 24 hours, it went viral. Thousands of people commented, praising the bikers' kindness and offering help. Donations started pouring in for Harold: money, food, even offers of home repairs. But the biggest surprise came that following weekend. A black SUV pulled up in front of Harold's trailer. Out stepped a man in his 40s with tears already streaming down his face. "Dad," he whispered. Harold turned from his porch stunned. He dropped the small cup of coffee he was holding. "Billy, is that really you?" They ran toward each other and hugged tightly, both crying. It was a reunion decades overdue. Bear and his crew, who had come by to check on Harold, stood quietly near their bikes, watching the moment unfold. Billy turned to them and said, "You have no idea what this means. Thank you for bringing my father back to me." Bear nodded. "We just stopped to fix a cart. Didn't know we'd fix a family." From that day on, Harold didn't have to walk those roads alone. Billy helped him move to California, where they rebuilt their relationship. The bikers kept in touch, checking on him through video calls and sending gifts every Christmas. A few months later, Bear received a letter in the mail. Inside was a photo of Harold and Billy fishing by a lake, smiling like the years had never passed. On the back, Harold had written, "Thanks for giving an old man back his reason to live." The story spread across America, from biker clubs to churches, from social media pages to TV segments. People were reminded that kindness doesn't always wear a suit or drive a shiny car. Sometimes it rides a Harley down an open road. And every year after that, the Iron Faith Riders started a new tradition called Harold's Run, an annual charity ride where bikers across states gathered to help the elderly and struggling in their communities. It wasn't about fame or attention. It was about remembering that one small act, stopping for someone in need, could change the world for them. Years later, when Bear looked back on that day, he said, "We thought we were helping an old man. But truth is, he helped us remember what it means to be human." If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and share it with someone who still believes in kindness. And before you go, tell us in the comments, from which part of the country are you watching this video? Your city, your story, your kindness, it all matters. Because the more we share stories like this, the more faith we bring back into humanity.